Hi, my name is Dick Rhodes, and what I want to do here today is just a real quick demo of the TrueTrac system. As we've traveled around the country doing a variety of shows, we've talked to literally thousands of people that have handheld circular saws. The problem they have is they can't cut a straight line. They use straight edge guides, they use clamps, they use boards and 2x4s and C-clamps, and here are the three issues they run into. Number one, it takes forever to set it up and lay it out. Number two, you got to hold it up tight. And if you drift away, it ruins your cut. And number three, the quality of the cut. The old adage, good side down, bad side up. How does that work when you're trimming a door or a bookcase? With the TrueTrac system and the track saw system itself, you're going to eliminate all those problems. Now, I'm not going to waste a lot of your time here today. We're just going to get in here and do some quick cuts for you and kind of show you what we're talking about. We're going to trim the edge off this board. This is this happens to be a piece of plywood, but this could be a piece of dimensional lumber that has an irregular edge, and you want a straight edge so that you can take it over your table saw and finish it up. It could be a 4x8 sheet of plywood, and we could make this longer so it can handle that. I'll show you all that here in just a couple seconds. But what I really want to show you is how simple it is to work with the TrueTrac system. Now basically, we're going to take and we're going to make a measurement, and then we're going to make a mark. Now, on almost any other type of setup, we're going to make a mark, and then our next step is we're going to start doing offset measurements and all kinds of other things. What we're going to do here is simply lay the track right on the marks. Now, by the way, if you're doing filler boards or you want to do any type of cut that requires a taper, you simply measure it in and mark in a taper. It's a whole lot better than playing around with the tapering jig. Now, once we got that mark in place, we simply bring our saw in, set it down on the track. And start to make your cut. Now I stop here for a reason. You'll notice I kind of repositioned the cord there a little bit. If anybody's ever tried to make a long run using any kind of a guide with their saws, you know that every time you stop and start, that pressure that you're putting against that guide changes. The beauty of a track saw is the saw itself is trapped on the track. We can back up, we can come forward. If you've ever done that, if you ever got back into that spot again, you're always off a hair, you always got a burn mark, you always got a burr. Those are the things that just irritate us. And I hate to say this, but you know, a lot of guys watch us do the demo and they say, well, I just don't see a need for it right now. And they go out and they get a $100 piece of oak plywood and they mess it up. And after they destroy the $100 piece of wood, then they call us up and say, gee, we need one now. Bottom line is, it takes all the guesswork out of it, takes the human element out of it. And just that easily we make our cut. Now I don't know if anybody noticed this or not, but as we were making this cut, the one thing we didn't do is we didn't take the time to clamp anything down. The TrueTrac itself has got its anti-chip edge on both sides. The anti-chip edge on the bottom side has an anti-skid material. And on a decent piece of wood, you can simply lay it down and it doesn't go anywhere. Okay, now if you get into some slick pre-finished wood, you may want to clamp it down, and we actually have clamps that slide into the bottom side as accessories that take care of that for you. Bottom line is, cutting a piece of 4-foot plywood's a piece of cake. Now what happens when that plywood stretches out to 8 foot? Well, that's a 57-inch piece of track. That's part of our starter kit. I've got a 2-foot piece here just because it's easier for me to handle. But what we would normally do is we would take and we would bring together a 57-inch and a 4-foot. Need to get it down here to right in. And connect them together just like so. Now, I'm going to purposely kick these out. Probably pretty hard for you to see that with the camera, but what I've done here is kind of got them a little cattywampus, because one of the things everybody's concerned about is what happens if you don't get it lined up just right. Well, it's not up to you. All you do is come in here and tighten down the track, and it pulls itself straight and parallel just like that. And that's due to the dovetail design of our connectors. Now to give you an idea of what we're talking about here, we'll flip this over and we'll bring our saw back in here. We're going to set that depth of cut up just a little bit so we can just slide it back and forth. And we set our saw right in there. And just like that, it goes from one piece to the other without any problem at all. So the design, the way it's made, go from a 4-foot cut to an 8-foot cut. I've got guys that do solid top counters. They go all the way out to a 24-foot cut. They just keep adding it on, keep right on going. So it's easy to expand out, it's easy to work with. Now, one of the things that we spend a lot of time talking about here in our demonstrations is how to handle 4x8 sheets, because that's obviously a huge problem for everybody. You can have one of the most beautiful table saws on the market, and being able to cut a 4x8 sheet still gets to be a big problem. But you know, there's a lot of DIY people out there, a lot of homeowners out there that don't have table saws that still have a need to cut wood. So what happens when you're out on a job site and all of a sudden you got a 1x4 that you thought you had trimmed down to the proper size, and you find that you need to put a taper on this, or that you need to trim it or cut it in half. I'll give you a beautiful example of a piece of wood this size, actually this size, is if anybody ever wanted to put in hardwood flooring. They make it look so simple in the ads, but you know, when you get down to that last piece, you've got to rip it to width. And I haven't found a wall in a house yet that had a straight wall in it, so you got to put a little taper in there. Now, the question everybody always comes up with is, how in the world do you take a small, skinny little board like that and balance a 6-inch wide piece of track like this? The thing you got to understand is the only part of the track saw, or the track, that touches the wood are the two anti-skid, anti-chip edges. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim about a 1/16 of an inch off the edge of this one, and we're going to bring this one over here to kind of counterbalance it. So what we have just done is we have set ourselves up here to come in and make a cut. So again, we're going to set that up just like so. Now we'll set our depth of cut so we can get down there and get through the wood. And again, the track takes over when it comes to control. Now, when is the last time you saw somebody take a piece of wood that thin and cut it that easily and that accurately and that safely using a handheld saw? Folks, the beauty of a track saw is very simple. 4x8 sheet or 4 inches by 2 foot, it doesn't make any difference. We can cut it. We can cut it easily, we can cut it safely, and we can cut it accurately. If you got any questions at all, dwell a little deeper into our website, or feel free to give us a call, and we hope that you join the TrueTrac family like thousands of other people already have.